Hi, I'm Rick Planos, and I'm a volunteer with AARP Illinois. Today, I'm here to talk to you about Social Security, how to better understand your benefits, and how to prepare for when you are ready to collect Social Security. Hopefully, we're going to have an interesting discussion today. There will be opportunities for you to ask questions in the chat, so feel free to enter your questions and someone else will answer them. But let's get off to the races. We're going to talk first about what exactly Social Security is. We're going to talk about full, early, and delayed benefits. There is a difference in how much you will collect depending on when you decide to start collecting. We are going to talk about how Social Security is involved with your work or not working, benefits for your family if you have spouses, ex-spouses, or people who are disabled, and also a very important issue to all of us over 50, the future of Social Security and how that is affected by AARP. So before we do that, though, I want to share a few ground rules. I'm a volunteer and also a recipient of Social Security benefits, but I am not a professional. So let me read this disclaimer so that we're all clear on the fact that this is just informational today. This session is intended to be informational and educational and does not constitute investment, tax, or legal advice. We strongly recommend that you seek the advice of a tax, legal, or financial services professional before making decisions related to any investment or other financial decisions. AARP is not responsible for the consequences of any decisions or actions taken in reliance upon or as a result of the information provided during this event. So this is just to get you started and hopefully will be helpful to you as you make decisions going forward. I'd also add to this to make sure that you understand this is a family decision. So if you have dependents, if you have children, if you have a spouse, if you have parents you're taking care of, they all can be affected by these decisions. So involve them in your discussions as well. I know I did. So let's start off with a quiz. What do you think today is the average benefit for someone collecting Social Security? Of the pool of everyone collecting today in the United States, what do you think the average person takes home? Is it A, $995, B, $1,304, or C, $1,827? If you guess C, you guess the right answer. Most people guess less, but $1,827 is the amount of money that the average person collects in the United States today. So it's a little bit more than most people assume. Let's talk about when you claim your benefit, okay? There's three basic options here. You can claim your benefit early, which is as early as age 62. You can claim on full retirement age, which is somewhere between the ages of 66 or 67. For me, it was 66 and 2 months. And at that point, you get 100% of your estimated benefit, or you can delay collecting your benefit, and you can get it at age 70, which at age 70, you get an increased benefit. So your benefits start at 62, they go up incrementally up to age 70, at which point they are capped out. Okay. Now, again, like everything we're discussing, this is a personal decision for everybody. It is not something that is decided easily. It's not a perfect science. So make sure that you think long and hard. It might behoove you based on your health or your family needs or your financial needs to start collecting at age 62, but you're going to get less money. Okay. Or you might be someone that's going to work until you're 80 and you don't really need the money until you're 70. And you might wait and get the extra money. So let's talk about how much that adds up. Okay. For me, I was born in 1955, so I collected, as I said, at 66 and 2 months. But based on the year of birth, you can see here when you would be eligible to collect. And if you were born after 1960, right now, you would be collecting at age 67. Those days of retiring at 60 or 65 are not always valid for everybody these days. Here's a chart that shows you what the amounts are. And this is really telling, one of the most important parts of deciding when to collect for Social Security. If this person at age 66 is at full retirement age and they were collecting hypothetically $1,000, at age 62, they would be collecting $750. So that's $250 a month extrapolated to as long as you live. That's a significant amount of money difference. And you can see it goes up $50 at age 63, all the way until you get to age 66 and you get $1,000. But here's the kicker. If you wait until age 70, that $1,000 a month goes up to $1,320 a month. Okay, that's $320 a month for every month that you are alive past age 70. That's a significant amount of money. And so that's something really serious to take into account before you decide. It's a big decision that involves a lot of components. So let's stop for a second. If you have any questions so far, this is a good time to put them in the chat and someone will get back to you. But if you've got a question, put it in the chat and someone will try to answer it right away. But think among yourself right now, what things would you have to consider? What are your major concerns before you would decide, if you haven't decided already, to collect Social Security? And this is an important discussion to have with your children. If you have children, what would they decide at age 40 and 50? What are they thinking about in terms of when they are planning their retirement? What suggestions would you give other people based on your decision? This is a good discussion to have with people that you know younger and say, here's the things that I thought about before I collected. You want to think about what your other retirement benefits are. Okay, are you getting a pension? Were you a teacher and you get a pension, or were you maybe a civil servant? There's no real one right age for anybody. Okay, but do you have a mortgage or are you paying rent? Are you living in assisted living? Do you have medical needs, or does your spouse or children have medical needs, or your parents? All things to think of before you make this decision, because it affects more people than just you. How can you figure out what your benefits are going to be? We talked before about the typical $1,000 per person that would get $1,000 a month. Here's some places that you can go to easily get your estimate of what your benefits would be if you're not collecting already. You can go to My Social Security and open an account at login.gov. You can complete the paper form SSA 7004, which you can get at any government organization. You can call this number, 800-772-1213. It's a long time on hold usually, but someone will answer and calculate it for you. Or if you wait till you're age 60 plus, you will get something in the mail from Social Security that will give you those numbers as well. Another option I'll add that I did is, in my city, there is a Social Security office. So I went there. You don't have to make an appointment. I walked in, I waited a few minutes, and I spoke with an agent who walked me through the entire process. So these are all options of places that you can go to get an estimate of what your payout will be. Another thing to keep in mind is at AARP, we provide a wealth of resources, not just on Social Security, but on everything. But we'll stick to Social Security today. And there's a resource center on the AARP website that gives you all kinds of great tools to make sure that you make an intelligent decision. So you go to aarp.org/Social Security, and you will find constantly updated information much like we're providing today, that will help you make that decision. And by the way, on a side note, that same website will provide you information about decluttering your home, about avoiding fraud, and all kinds of great life skills. So get in the habit of checking that AARP resource, because it is really an amazing library of great information and tools. So let's talk about work, okay? And this really applies to you if you decide to collect early and you continue to work, because there are a lot of changes in how collecting Social Security and working and earning an income have changed. So there is an earnings limit that you can make on your own once you collect Social Security. And that only applies today if you're below the full retirement age. So like for me, that would only have been an issue before I was 66.2. That limit right now is $21,240 for the year 2023. Okay. And after that, $1 is deducted for every $2 you earn above that limit. It's not very much. Okay. So you can't make too much money. Okay. But the good thing is, in the year that you reach full retirement age, that limit rises to $56,520. And then $1 is deducted for every $3 earned above the limit. Okay. Once you get past full retirement age, the benefits are much better for you to be earning money on the side. Because let's face it, $1,000 a month isn't going to be enough to keep most people afloat. So keep that in mind when you decide, are you going to collect and still work, and what age you decide to do that. It makes a big difference. And with some jobs, if you were in a union of some sort and get a pension, that is changed as well. Okay, because that money is considered income as well. That's why you can see that it's really important to have a tax person or financial advisor, and quite possibly a lawyer, look at this to make sure you're making a smart decision and you don't get hit with a bigger tax hit than you were expecting. If you have any questions, now's a good time to put them in the chat. And we're going to move on into family benefits. Okay. Social Security is also provided to help you with family needs. Okay. So does anyone here know what family people would be affected based on your Social Security income? It's an interesting question that very few people know. Depending on your individual situation, your children can collect on your Social Security. Your spouse can collect on your Social Security. Very few people understand that your ex-spouse can collect on your Social Security, and your survivors, depending on when you pass and their age, can also collect on your Social Security. So when you're putting that money into Social Security and working, understand that it's not just for your own retirement, but it can help other people in your family as well. Let's talk about children. Okay. Every qualified child can get a payment of up to 1/2 of your full retirement benefit if they are unmarried, under age 18, or a full-time student up to age 19 and up to grade 12, or 18 and older and disabled prior to the age they were 22. Okay. So if your children fit that mold, they can possibly get benefits that are on top of what you get. Okay, let's talk about spousal benefits. Okay, your spouse is eligible for 50% of your benefit at full retirement age. You cannot collect a spousal benefit until your spouse files for their own benefit, so you can't collect before them. If your spouse claims early, your benefit will still be a portion of their full retirement age benefit. Okay, that's kind of confusing, but they'll get less. And your decision is not based on half of their smaller amount, but your benefit will be half of their full retirement age benefit. I know that's kind of complicated. Good thing to get specifics from your local Social Security office. Now, here's an interesting one that very few people understand, but you can collect as an ex-spouse. So if your marriage lasted more than 10 years, if your ex-spouse gets their own Social Security benefit or is at least 62 and you've been divorced for 2 years, if you are at least 62, if you're not remarried, okay, if you're the ex-spouse, you're not remarried, you're at least 62, and if your own personal retirement benefit is less than that of your spousal benefit, okay? So if your amount that you would be getting is less than what your spouse would get, you can collect them. And what's really interesting that very few people understand is as an ex-spouse in a marriage that lasted more than 10 years, you do not have to communicate with your ex. You don't have to ask for their approval. This is automatic through Social Security. In most cases, they'll have this information in their file. If not, you can inform them. But you are able to still collect that money, and that money does not affect what your ex-spouse collects. It affects them in no way. It's something that's provided for in the fund. So for people that give up their career while their spouse was working and they stayed home to raise the children, or they stayed home to run the house or something like that, and they didn't earn as much, this is a way to make up for that through Social Security. If you have any questions, now's a good time to put them in the chat. Now we'll talk about survivor benefits, okay? Survivor benefits are valid at full retirement age, age 60 or 50 if you're disabled, in which case you will get a reduced benefit. If you're caring for entitled children or needy children, or if you have dependent parents, okay? In these cases, you would be eligible to get survivor benefits if your spouse dies before you do. Survivor benefits do not count if you remarry before age 60. They do count if you remarry after age 60. So that's something to keep in mind as well. It does matter if you are a widow or widower or if you are remarried. So let's have another quiz. How many beneficiaries today collecting Social Security are age 100 or older? You can jot down your answer. Is it A, 29,000? Is it B, 46,000? Or is it C, 52,148? And the correct answer, again, is C. Today, in the United States, there are 52,148 people that are collecting Social Security that are older than 100 years. So think about it. When you're making your decisions now, are you thinking about, I'm going to live to 70? Are you thinking about, I might live to 100? Or you're thinking like, I'm going to live to 110? Okay. Makes a big difference in when you decide to collect and when you decide to stop working. It's a lot easier to keep working at 62, 65, 66 than it is to decide at age 80, you don't have enough money and you need to go back to work. Okay. That's why these decisions are important for you and your family. Okay. Really, truly assess your financial situation and talk to professionals about how to project out what your needs are going to be. Because if you're one of those people, and I hope you are, that's going to live past 100, how much you collect per month is going to make a big difference, and the style in which you live. Now let's talk about the future of Social Security. Social Security is a very important topic to those of us over 50 and to those of us at AARP. We spend a lot of time talking about Social Security benefits. We advocate on behalf of them, and we do lobbying efforts on behalf of them as well to make sure that Social Security stays around. So right now, Social Security is in a good spot to last for another 10 years at the level it is. Okay. Those of us that collect got increases in 2023 and in January of 2024 based on the cost of living index. Okay. But for Social Security to last more than 10 years at the rate it is today, there's going to have to be some significant congressional action to secure the financial security of Social Security. AARP is working very hard to make sure those benefits continue for future generations, especially as people like us are living longer and longer, and even past 100. So those benefits are even more important. It's important to be thinking of this when you vote, when you decide your votes, decide who you're voting for, and who is most important to you as a candidate, and are they looking at benefits for those of us over 50? Again, we talked before about how to figure out your benefits. Those same resources are the way that you can collect your benefits. So you can go to login.gov and register there. You can go to ssa.gov, which is Social Security Association.gov. You can call 800-772-1213, or you can call your local field office, and you can find that at ssa.gov/locator/. Or, just like I said before, the way I found mine was I went to my local Social Security office, and they were very helpful and very informative. So you can do that as well. If you have questions, again, I'm going to give you a chance to put those in the chat, and we will certainly get someone to answer them right away for you. Any other questions you have, now's a good time to put them down in the chat, write them down to yourself, ask your financial advisor, ask your lawyer, ask your kids, ask your parents. And I also want to remind you that there is a tremendous resource at the Social Security Resource Center at aarp.org/Social Security. There is a wealth of information there on any topic, but Social Security specifically. Anything you could need is right there. So get in the habit of looking that up, and you might be able to answer a lot of these questions for yourself. I will tell you, my own personal situation was I was a caregiver for 5 years for a parent with Alzheimer's. So I had to stop working before I thought I had originally planned to. And then I went back to work. So that affected my decision on when I was going to collect my Social Security. And I put it off longer than originally planned because I knew I was going to work and I didn't want to incur the tax liability of having Social Security and work pay. Okay. So that's something to keep in mind. Again, everyone's situation is different. Everyone has different personal responsibilities, but things that you need to think about when you're deciding about when you collect. After this presentation, you will get an email, and that email will have a survey and or a QR code in it for you to answer about what you thought about this presentation. It's very helpful to everyone involved, myself, the people that organized the presentation, AARP Illinois, AARP nationally, to get that feedback. So please take a minute when you get that survey and answer honestly. It will only help us to be able to do these things better in the future and to provide more tools like this to help you. I want to thank you all for joining me today and being part of this AARP presentation. I enjoyed doing it for you. I hope you found it helpful, and I hope it's a good first step on your way to figuring out Social Security and how it's going to do its best for you. Again, my name is Rick Planos. I am part of AARP Illinois, and I appreciate your time with me today. And I look forward to seeing you maybe at one of our in-person events very soon. Thank you so much.